This is Veterans Florida and Florida Chamber presenting our Power Plays webinar series on SkillBridge today with guest speaker, retired Army Colonel Derrick Fishback. Derrick has an amazing story of the DOD SkillBridge program, how he went through it, some of the challenges, and some of the ways that the program in general eased his transition from military to civilian life. We are broadcasting live on Facebook Live as well as in the in this Zoom webinar. So this will be recorded and we'll put it up on our YouTube channel after after the event as well. Sorry if you see me looking to the side. I have two screens going on right now. So we will get started, and we will have the opportunity to answer questions after Derrick's portion of the remarks. So feel free to add questions into the Q&A box in Zoom, or if you're watching on Facebook Live, feel free to add them there and we'll get them integrated into the Zoom portion. And if you have any, if you want to also use the chat functionality, we'll be monitoring that too. All right, so with that, we will get going. My name is Joe Marino. I'm the Executive Director of Veterans Florida. Veterans Florida is a state-created nonprofit corporation to assist transitioning service members, veterans, and their families to live, work, and play in the state of Florida. We have several members on our board who have esteemed careers in the military, in business, in economic development, and all around the opportunity, economic opportunity for veterans. This is just a brief run through of the existing VETS program of which we administer. It's the Veterans Employment and Training Services created alongside us within statute. We conduct marketing both at the state level and across the country. We provide career services for veterans. We provide workforce recruiting for employers. We have a workforce training grant for employers who are developing and upskilling veteran employees. And we also have an entrepreneurship program. And if you're interested at any point in any of these, certainly feel free to visit veteransflorida.org and get more information. You will likely need to fill out a web form so that we can capture the information that we need to help you get started, but that's the best way to get going with us. So what we're talking about today is the Florida SkillBridge initiative. We have a lot of corporate partners, and that's why we've got our friends at the Florida Chamber represented here with us today. And we've also got some legislative partners. Senate Bill 586 currently going through the House Senate, and House Bill, the Florida Senate, and the House Bill 435 currently going through the Florida House by Wright and Soroy have been moving through a couple of their committees. And what it does is it codifies what we're going to be talking about today into a statewide, state-level initiative that brings together industry partners, employers, and ultimately the transitioning service members here in Florida at any of our 21 military installations who might be transitioning within the next year. So I'm going to hand this off to our VETS program director, Jeremy Sinemaki, who is going to take you through the following slides. And Jeremy, let me know when you're ready and I'll advance the slides as we go.
All right, thank you, Joe. As you said, I'm Jeremy Sinemaki, VETS Director for Veterans Florida, and I'm here today to talk to you about some of the mechanics of SkillBridge, and some of the topics I will cover is what the need is and how we're providing the solution, what DOD SkillBridge is, why would you want to do SkillBridge, and how does it help Florida, as well as walk you through some of the application processes if you're an employer or a service member who wants to participate. So the need for SkillBridge in Florida, and frankly all over, employers have a need for highly skilled employees to compete in today's innovative economy. As you may know, military service members have a lot of those skills already, and they translate and fit well into civilian jobs that require those demanding skills. However, connecting with the service members is always a challenge, and a lot of times they come with certain qualifications that are in high demand, but reaching them at the right time and place is difficult at best. Additionally, sometimes service members are missing some of the civilian culture awareness and things like that. So a few years ago, DOD, the Department of Defense, created a SkillBridge program to bridge that gap. So what is SkillBridge? What did they create? Well, the Department of Defense created the program for transitioning service members in the Army, Air Force, Navy, and Marine Corps with less than 180 days until separation or retirement. And it gives them an opportunity to work at a civilian employer and gain those critical skills so that they may transition, hopefully, smooth into a civilian career. So what they do is they work at that employer for up to 180 days, and they retain their full Department of Defense military pay and benefits. Employers do not provide a salary or any benefits during the training. All right, it's also a cooperative partnership between employers, industry partners, and military commanders for the benefit of service members to help ensure that they can transition smoothly. All right, so before an employer or industry partner can provide SkillBridge training, we have to have an approved curriculum for them to train. Once approved, the partner can accept applications from service members. The approved training should be highly structured in an apprenticeship way or loosely structured internship. Either way, the goal is for the service member to obtain full employment at the end of the training and hopefully transition smoothly into their new career with the civilian employer. So SkillBridge benefits Florida in a number of ways. We have several thousand service members transitioning in Florida, just in Florida each year, and there's many across the nation. Well, while Florida continues to diversify its economy and grow their sectors such as advanced manufacturing, aerospace and defense, logistics and transportation, all sectors with service members are already in and are excelling in, we're able to attract and retain some of those service members in Florida at the end of their service. So what we do at Veterans Florida is we are administering the Veterans Employment and Training Services Program, and we work with those service members and employers in those growth sectors and try to attract and retain them here. We also collaborate with a number of agencies throughout Florida and other civilian partners, such as Department of Veterans Affairs, Enterprise Florida, Career Source Florida, Florida Chamber Foundation, and many, many others. That's just to name a few, to enhance the economic opportunities for service members. So if you're a service member, you may be on here wondering how you can participate in the SkillBridge program. Well, the first step would be to register with us at veteransflorida.org/register. And once you do that, we'll have somebody from our team who will reach out, and if you need assistance walking through the process, we'll be able to help you every step of the way. But generally, the next step after that would be to obtain commander approval. After that, you can start an interview process with an interested employer that matches your interests and what you're looking for, and we help you with that all the way. Once we have all those things in order, then you'll be able to start your actual internship with your civilian employer. Now, if you're an employer and you'd like to know how to participate, maybe you would like to have a service member participate in SkillBridge in your company, you would reach out to me, Sinemaki at veteransflorida.org. And when you contact Veterans Florida, I'll work with the employer to walk you through the process every step of the way. After you reach out to us and we see if it's a good fit, we will have a memorandum of understanding that we'll have between your company and Veterans Florida. We will come up with training proposals and internships to match your needs. And also, we will submit those to the DOD SkillBridge office if you have not already. If you have an existing SkillBridge, we are also able to work with you to find interested service members who may match your opportunities that are available. Upon approval from DOD SkillBridge, you'll be able to participate in our program. For more information, you may contact me, Sinemaki at veteransflorida.org, or you can always find us on our website, veteransflorida.org. So now I'd like to introduce you to somebody who's doing great work for the state of Florida, Matthew Choi. He's the Director of Talent and Education, Quality of Life Policy with our great friends at the Florida Chamber of Commerce.
Jeremy, thank you so much. I really appreciate that great introduction. First and foremost, Matthew Choi here at the Florida Chamber of Commerce, and I like to deal with our education policy. And first and foremost, I just want to thank Joe and Veterans Florida for allowing us to have this partnership. The Florida Chamber of Commerce represents one of the most diversified business communities within the state of Florida. And what we hear back regularly is that one of the biggest issues that our companies are facing outside of specifically COVID-19 related issues is the idea of new employees needing to come on board and having the skills needed to be successful at that position. What we found time and again is that the veterans here in Florida are some of the best prepared to enter a new civilian life within companies here in Florida, and really, I would imagine, around the world. But here at the Florida Chamber, we want to make sure that we keep this talent here in Florida. And as Jeremy and Joe stated earlier, servicemen and women are most likely to stay in the state that they have their final active duty stint at. And so what we've done, and I want to thank Senator Wright, and we want to thank Representative Soroy for bringing this very good legislation forward. The Florida Chamber Foundation has made it a priority to make sure that Florida is one of the top 5 manufacturing states within the country, and that we're a top 10 economy globally. That means that Florida isn't just competing with other states, we're competing with other countries. And I see in our Q&A and in our chat, we do have representation from all over the world today. And what we want to say is that Florida wants to compete with everyone. We want to have the most talented workforce here in the state, and we simply cannot do that without veterans staying here. The Florida Foundation, in conjunction with the Department of Economic Opportunity, has set a bold goal that at least 60% of all folks in the state of Florida, 25 to 64, need to have some sort of life skills that allows them to have their own pathway to prosperity. And SkillBridge, this legislation, and Veterans Florida going forward, that is just another arrow in the quiver to help ensure that we have one of the best, most diversified, most talented economies within the world. Finally, and what I want to say is that through this legislation, and Derrick Fishback, who is actually a retired service member and who has helped guide folks through the SkillBridge process, will be speaking next. But what I want to say from the business community is that we need individuals and new employees who are willing to hit the ground running, who have the soft skills, who have the ability to get to work day one. And that is exactly what the SkillBridge legislation is attempting to do. So without any further delay, I'd like to introduce Derrick Fishback to speak about some of the intricacies and some of the important aspects of the SkillBridge legislation itself. Thank you, and welcome, Derrick.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate that, Matthew and team. Hopefully you can hear me well. I appreciate this opportunity to speak to the community as a whole. So I want to say thank you to all the service members, all the employers, and all the other guests that are on the broadcast to talk about the initiative that Florida's put together. I'm a retired U.S. Army colonel. I retired on February 1st of 2020 and decided to remain in Florida. And then by no choice of anyone else in COVID, I had to stay in Florida anyway. So it's been an interesting ride for the last couple of years. I've actually transitioned from my military position to working for Amazon Web Services. And with that, I've got to state that I'm not here representing strictly Amazon Web Services. Any questions or feedback you require about working or employing for them, or any questions you have on Amazon Web Services, have to be taken up at a later time. So I want to say that up front. But I had the wonderful journey that began the day I got promoted, and I realized that I had to have a plan in place to move forward. And I had two veins that I was going down: either promoted to general, or I was going to retire because of my mandatory retirement date. And so after watching several of my senior service peers from the Army, Navy, and Air Force and Marines go through their transition, I realized that I needed to have a set plan in place in order to transition effectively. I had a different kind of journey than they did. I actually had a break in service for about 7 years where I worked at high tech, and I knew I wanted to go back into high tech when that time came. But approaching my retirement window, I realized that I was at a deficit for skill sets. And so I learned about the SkillBridge program through some contacts in the Army. And then I attended a Hiring Our Heroes job fair that they hosted here in Pensacola, Florida, and discovered more about the fellowship programs there and decided I'd go ahead and sign up. I was 2 years out from that consideration, so I kept the information on my calendar and knew that on the day of that I would need to make my application. I applied and was accepted. The only problem was that there wasn't a Hiring Our Heroes fellowship program in Florida specific to what I was looking for. And so I had to apply for an office that was actually in Atlanta, Georgia. Today, there is a program in Tampa, Florida, and that program is now up and running. And I'm sure that the team here can help you get in contact with the organization if you decide to do a Hiring Our Heroes fellowship. But I did it in Atlanta, Georgia for 12 weeks. I programmed in that timeline into my transition timeline. And so I had to make sure that it was something that was going to benefit me long-term as I went through it, even though it was going to be a short-term working there. What it allowed me to do is to both professionally and personally transition from almost 20 years of service into a civilian environment where I'd be working. And I didn't know if I'd be there working forever, but I knew that I needed to have a step up, and I had to prepare myself to win in this case. So I got the fellowship. I attended 12 weeks working for IBM in Atlanta. During that timeline, I was recruited by Amazon Web Services and accepted a position for them in January of 2020. Now, that all sounds pretty simple, like it was lockstep, but actually it wasn't really lockstep. It was a series of events that I made sure that they happened. And I spent time researching what I wanted to do between cloud computing and or cybersecurity. Did I want to get into technology? Where did I want to live? What did I want to do? And I sat down and made a plan of how to do that. And I still have that plan in my book to this very day. And that's what I kind of encourage people to do. If I talk to service members, I say, you got to have a plan. You got to sit down, do the backwards planning you have from the day you are leaving the service, whether you're retiring or whether you're transitioning out because you've done your contracted time. You got to have a plan and work it backwards from that 180 days. At 180 days, you're not doing much for your service at that point. You're trying to take care of all your appointments, get things done for your transition, and then at the end of it, you leave. And it goes by pretty fast. But if you don't have a plan in place, it will skip by you. pretty quickly. If you decide you want to do a fellowship or you want to do informal SkillBridge activity, internship, you need to sit down and put that plan to paper and to calendar, and then have a proactive conversation with your leadership and explain to them what you're trying to do, get their buy-in, and respectfully request the time to go do that. The program is designed for you. It's not designed for any other entity other than the service member transitioning to have the ability to set themselves up for a pretty effective way of leaving the service, but setting them on a stepping stone toward their future. And that's what it is. It is a stepping stone toward a different path that you are walking down. If you choose to stay in civilian employment, it's a great way to start. But it helps you to both professionally and personally begin that process. And that's why you have to have the conversation with your leadership. I wouldn't say just boldly just go out there and do it and just disappear. It doesn't work out too well. Some people find out the hard way. But I would say it is an active discussion. And if it's a set plan, 9 times out of 10, your leadership will agree with you. There's no age discrimination. There's no age limit to it. There's no service limit to it. It is designed for the transition service member. It's not a rank specific. Case in point, I was a colonel leaving the Army. My options were pretty slim, believe it or not, about what I could possibly wind up doing. And so I felt I needed that leg up by taking that program. And so I dived into it. And it's a good thing that I did, because there are people now who are in my peer group who just don't have that opportunity because they didn't do such a thing. And they wind up struggling a little bit. So I coach with them a lot. You got to know what you want to do and why. Just leaving the service, retiring or walking away is an action, but there's got to be an end state to it. It's got to make sense. And if the SkillBridge program and the fellowship can help you build in those steps toward that, give you the time to do that, to focus on where you'll know, you'll walk through it. And I kind of figured that out. I knew I wanted to get back into technology in 2 different areas, but I really didn't know what I was getting my hands on until I got into it. IBM accepted me during their program, which is a very well-structured program, and helped me guide through some of those and understanding, hey, what X looks like in their world is different than what looks like in my world. There isn't always a direct translation, but there are correlations. You got to make sure you understand what those look like and how to discuss those. You got to plan for after, because even if you take on the SkillBridge internship, no matter what it is, where Milas and what industry, there's an after to that. When it comes to an end, where do you want it to take you? I always tell people you got to have a 5-year plan. You got to know what you want to do, and you got to know what you're willing to do that. Because it really is laid out that way, because transitions happen over a 5-year period of time. We have spent 20 plus years or 10 plus years or 5 years of our lives being guided by somebody else. And when you're transitioning out of the service, now you have to make the plan. You have to execute it. So you have to put that to paper and walk it through effectively and know where to go. Not every single person is a one-to-one correlation for a position. So sometimes you have to add to that. And I knew that I needed one key thing, which was how do you effectively transition with the skill sets that I had. My skill sets were 15 years out of date. So I set about a path of getting certifications that were industry standards so that I could be competitive with a group of people, no matter who they were. I knew I wasn't working in the national capital region, so my competition wasn't there. My competition really was, no kidding, the average 16-year-old who could outcode me, or the average 20-year-old who knew more about cybersecurity than I did with certifications without a degree. And so I had to find myself up against that type of competition. I need to be able to have the necessary paper that says I'm competitive. So I stepped out to do that and understood the technology. When I went to my work for Amazon Web Services, I actually studied their cloud practitioner course and prepared for that, and which led me to the interview, which led me to the hiring. So you have to put yourself in a position to win by seeking out those certifications. You may have done some great things in the military, unless there's a direct correlation between what you do and what you're trying to do in a civilian career pursuit. You're going to have to take a step back and look at those things that offer those type of programs that let you lead to certifications that'll make you competitive. You got to look at programs like Onward to Opportunity while you're exiting the service. You can also look at military. There's a military credentialing programs that are set up through all the services that let you pursue the certifications necessary to be competitive as a project manager, to be a construction manager, to be whatever, to be those things. And we'll share some of those later. There are university programs like that. I quote the University of West Florida, which has a program strictly designed for cybersecurity and technology for transitioning veterans. And it's free. All you have to do is compete for it and sign up for it. There are also veterans training programs that are produced through the VA and some others that have direct correlations to what you're trying to do, but you have to build these into your plan. You have to make sure that they're known and you understand what that is, because you're not just planning for you, you're planning for yourself and your family, and you've got to get buy-in with your family with your plan. That's why I always recommend people to do that. SkillBridge is a wonderful program that helps you level set yourself with both the necessary civilian skills and opportunities to be competitive in a job market, especially when we talk to some of the employers. And so I know some employers are on this call, so this webinar rather, and I really had to give them some advice too. It's never an imbalance of the capability of the individual. It's understanding the value of the fellowship program to maximize the effort for your specific industry. It is a wonderful program the DOD has put together. Florida has latched onto it as a state program, which is not that many states have done that. And that's even better for an employer. It helps maximize what you have access to. And you really want access to quality, skilled individuals. But part of that is understanding the value of the person. And part of bringing them on through the SkillBridge program and internships and apprenticeships is that you can actually build the individual and the capability that you may want to work in your office, in your headquarters, in your organization, that helps add to your innovation and your potential as a competitor in your market. It's an amazing what you're getting hold of when you're a service member, because they're well skilled and well trained to both lead and contribute. Not many civilian programs offer that through colleges, universities, or training programs. And so when you get a person that's been in the military for more than 10 years, more than 5 years, even more than 3 years, you should know they have a skill set to both lead and to contribute, and they have resiliency to deal with situations that are uncomfortable. That's one thing I found very interesting about this COVID principle that's been going on lately, is that a lot of organizations and companies have been tested. And it's good to know if you take on a person that's had a service member that's had a background in these areas you're looking for, they have leadership, they have resiliency, they have drive, they have motivation to help get through some of these things. So it's not something that's uncomfortable to them. It's just a matter of just changing the paradigm of how you work. And many of them are willing to adapt to that. And I encourage you actually to maximize the state program. It's no cost to you to bring people on, to be able to work with you, to understand your industry and contribute to the growth of your organization. And I think that's one of the most valuable aspects of the SkillBridge program. In closing, I like to say that my journey was unique, but there are thousands who have gone through programs in different ways, and you'll find others who have done it differently. But I see the value of it necessary for the service member, for the industries they may be going into, and for the state itself. It's the proper balance, in my opinion, of how you support economic growth within the state, how you support growth of the individual as he transitions from the service, and how you support growth of an industry, maybe looking for the right person to do the right thing. SkillBridge is one of the programs you want to maximize. And I highly encourage all the members, all the attendants on this particular webinar to be able to take advantage of all aspects of it, both the service member, the employer, and of course, our guests who are on there. Thank you.
All right, Derrick, thanks a bunch. Your personal experience in this area is immensely valuable. I think we're just getting overrun by questions in chat and Q&A, so that's fantastic. We're going to start going through some of them. Some of these are individual cases, so we've got Jeremy answering them in chat and Q&A directly. There's a couple that are good for the general audience. Before we jump into those, I've got one quick question, because I separated back in the late 90s, and I believe you did as well. And so you're just briefly expand on the difference between separating then and separating now with the opportunities DOD SkillBridge can provide.
The best way I could state that is it's a night and day difference. When I separated in '95 from the Army for the first time, there were a few smidgen recruiters who were looking for you to help you get in the system, and primarily because I was a junior officer as an operations manager. But directly on the post itself, the program was very minimal for transitioning. It was, hey, do you want to join the National Guard? I'm like, no. Then, okay, well, thank you. There's nothing here. And it was a pursuit of my own. So I had a personal pursuit of trying to find employment after that, and knew nothing about the programs that may exist within the states or help to do that. So I had to find a lot of things on my own. It was a struggle for the first 2 years. I'm not gonna lie about that. I worked for a defense contractor. With that contract got diminished. And then I found myself unemployed, so I had to seek out other skill sets. And I was good at computers, and so I was able to go through the Texas Workforce Commission and get certifications in Microsoft and help me get positions in the civilian sector. But there was no reach back into the military programs to do that. There was no reach back into veterans programs from a civilian industry point to drive in that direction. And so I was very limited in that respect. And so what I see today is a night and day difference since the inception of the program in 2014 till now. And there are a lot more opportunities that are both free and available to veterans that they should dive into. And so that's why people ask me about it. I freely coach them to go look here, go look there, go to this website, go to that website, because some programs are underutilized, but they're free for veterans to pursue, support them. Even service members before they leave. And that's why I talk about the planning so much. You got to know what you're diving into. We have great service members who do some amazing things in active duty, but those can only get you so far. And they usually don't get you very far in the interview process. And so you got to be competitive, and you got to find ways to work through that competitive stance. So you need a lot of coaching and a lot of mentoring. Shift.org is a great organization. Hire Heroes is a great organization. Hiring Our Heroes, a great organization. There are lots, even Veterans Florida, which I dived into immediately right before I left. Great organization, because I thought about just some entrepreneurial work. Never disconnected. Great people who offered advice about how to pursue those efforts. It's a huge night and day difference between 95 and now. And so I encourage everybody that are looking to dive into those programs.
Great. We appreciate the plug, Derrick. Thank you. So let me take a quick question. We've got in our Q&A, we've got some questions generally about what does Veterans Florida offer currently from Veterans Florida's agriculture and entrepreneurship? What is in the pipeline? Well, I can say this, we're at the very beginnings of this coalition. So right now we do have our agriculture program. We actually have a couple of folks who are starting that up through DOD SkillBridge. They obtain very hands-on agriculture training over 6 months. And some of them have gone on to open farms or gone on into the agriculture industry. So we, with our coalition, including the Florida Chamber, Florida Economic Development Council, Career Source, Enterprise Florida. So a lot of these larger organizations are going to help us find those other employers throughout the state who would be able to offer SkillBridge, either as a apprenticeship or internship or fellowship. That said, the state of Florida currently has about 50 organizations on the DOD SkillBridge main website that do offer SkillBridge currently throughout the state of Florida. You've got a great instance of SkillBridge occurring at Career Source Okaloosa. Northrop Grumman is an employer that's doing a SkillBridge program on their own. And so we're going to be promoting those through our website, and those organizations that work closely with us will also be doing additional recruiting. So to answer the question, what's in the pipeline? Pretty much everything that's out there in Florida. So we're going to be building that out on our website as time goes on. But the best way to find out where things are and where you stand and how you can get going is to go to veteransflorida.org/register, and our team of veterans will help you pinpoint those. Even though they're not on our website right now, we know of them, we know where they're at. So you could either run a SkillBridge through us, or you could go through a SkillBridge through some of the programs that Derrick has mentioned, or to the employers directly. So with that, I hope that answers that question. And we do have a direct question for Mr. Fishback. Let's see. Oh, it looks like, okay, someone had a question. Here we go. Someone had a question about they don't have any IT certifications or training, but is that an area that they can go into? So what's your thoughts on that, Derrick?
Oh, yes, I encourage it. There are more STEM-centric programs now than ever before because there's a shortage. And so there are lots of free programs that are out there. If you're still in the military and you're looking to transition, check through the services education office first to see what they will fund for certifications. My recommendation is always going to be A+, Network Plus, Security Plus to begin with, because you can do those relatively cheaply, relatively quickly. And then you'll figure out which field you want to go into. Also, if you're in the Army, they offer it through Skillsoft. Matter of fact, all the services offer it through Skillsoft. And that's a free service through each one of the services that offers that kind of training online. If you want specific training outside of that, like hands-on, because you're more of a hands-on person, there are programs that are sitting out there, and I'll post some of those out there. As a matter of fact, if I could share this real quick, if you don't mind. Where is that? Okay. Is it? Oh, there it is. Okay, cool. So here's some of the training programs and certifications for transitioning service members that are sitting out there. Our opportunity is great for those who are who are transitioning, or those who want to change the direction of the career that they're in. Great programs. Fed VTE is a free program for service members that are still in or out, and you can log in as long as you have a DOD ID. Or a DOD ID number, then you can log into it and take free courses for cybersecurity or technology. Because I work at Amazon, this is not a plug for them whatsoever. However, I did go to this website first, and it's a free website for veterans where they give you access to education programs for cloud computing and engineering, free training, and you just want to sign up for it. And it has actually a path, a learning path that helps you guide through that. MilitaryTransitions.org is a wonderful source document that contains a lot of programs that offer training for transition. My all-time favorite, because they helped me out in Jacksonville, Florida, is USO Pathfinder. They will set you up also to work with Simply Learn. Precipio and Skillsoft themselves are also in training programs to get you in place. And of course, there is, of course, the STPM SkillBridge programs. So there are lots of programs out there that you can utilize. And I'll send this over to Joe so you can post it into his website if you choose, so people have it available. But those are out there sitting, waiting for you to utilize. And my favorite part of the equation, they're underutilized. And so depending on where you are, depending on which state you decide to sort in, there are tons of programs to train because we have a shortage of technical personnel. Hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you, Derrick. We've got another one from Angel Ruiz. I have two questions. One, I understand we can begin a SkillBridge program when we are within 180 days of exiting. When should we start the application process? And two, I'm stationed in Homestead and want to stay in the Miami area. I've not found any companies. All right, so let me take number two first.
Okay.
Go ahead to veteransflorida.org/register, and our team can help you identify what's in the Miami area. And then, Derrick, if you can take this one again, I understand we begin a SkillBridge within 180 days of separation. When should we begin the application process?
Okay. You should begin it no less than a year and a half out from when you want to start it. That gives you enough time to both have the discussion, do your planning, do your backwards planning. If you're within 1 year of transitioning, start at that first year. You got to start on that 1 year date, because then you're planning 180 days out from when you're transitioning out of the military. It will take the first 6 months for you to get everything straight for yourself and your family and your command, so that you're able to freely execute it for the last 180 days of your tenure. That's why you have to do it within that 1 year mark. You're trying to do it within, sure.
That brings up a great question too,
Sure.
and I'm sure is on a lot of folks' minds, is in your experience, how has command has there been a culture shift in command to being more accepting of DoD SkillBridge at the unit level and local level?
It's an active discussion. Most are, from my understanding, depends depends on where you are and what job you're doing, but most are. But there are times when it isn't a positive discussion, and you have to actually sit down with the commander and show the regulation, walk through the regulation with the commander, who your supervisor is, and show them, hey, I can do this for this period of time. Will you work with me on this? And it's you try to make it a very positive discussion. I had a very positive discussion with my boss. I showed him on the calendar where everything was, and I just put it in and show how it wasn't a detriment. I was a senior officer. My replacement was identified, so I was able to walk backwards from that. And some people don't have that luxury, and you have to sit back and show with your leadership, hey, here's a positive side of it. I coached one young man. He actually, no kidding, extended his transition time because he wanted to do the fellowship. But he sat with his command and walked through them with it in order to do that. Most are, for the most part, because here's the truth: no matter what, no matter whether you're a general or whether you're private, you all go through transition. Every single service member will do that. And I find people that come back to me now after this time frame, or 2 years after, and we have to have an active discussion about what their plan is and how I helped them get through that, or how I did it, and those things. Everybody goes through it, so that's why you can have a positive conversation about it in this plan.
That is great to hear, because that's definitely a part of that was one of our slides. It's definitely a partnership between industry, the service member, and ultimately their command. Anything else? We've got a question I'll take offline in the Q&A. Jeremy, are you there? Any questions in chat that we can toss out for general consumption?
So I do have a question that a few of you have asked regarding SkillBridge and eligibility. The best thing to do would be to register at veteransflorida.org/register. Even if you're not eligible for SkillBridge, Veterans Florida has a number of services that we provide to all veterans and spouses, in some cases spouses. So if you register, we can reach out and see if we have a match for you with our services. We do have other career services to do other opportunities.
All right. Last call for questions. We just had one come in. Daniel Griffin's asking, Derrick, what was the hardest part of your transition?
I would say, I think the toughest part was just doing it, to be honest with you. Because when you leave, you leave and you're done. And so it isn't like you're going to go back in the office. It's like you're going to go back to the transition center to do anything. I think that was the toughest part, realizing that it had to be done, that you had to move on, and you got to pick your own direction. You're your own coach at that point. You're your own director at that point. No one else is telling you when you leave the transition point where to go. So you've got to know where you want to go, and just do it. I think that was probably the toughest part. Is realizing that I'm my own command. You don't have a group, you don't have a wing, you don't have a ship, you don't have a battalion or a brigade. It's you. And you have to make sure that you put together your supporting cast that will help you do that, and how you are going to make the transition effectively. That's your family first, your friends, associates, and then, of course, all the other third-party assistance you can get. I'm a big fan of veteran service organizations like For Block and others, because they help you walk through the transition, both professionally and personally. And you kind of need that kind of coaching team to help you get through those, to understand, hey, you're not totally alone. You have people that can help you get through it, and then you can get on the right path to where you want to go. Because the only person you have asked questions of now is you, and possibly your spouse or your partner. after that, there's no other higher authority. So who are you going to question about what you should be doing next? If you don't, and that's a huge responsibility. Now it's just you. And it's a challenge you got to be willing to assume, because we all don't know everything. We just know the things we're trying to get done.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's the. I remember getting out on my end way back, and it wasn't easy. There were definitely many difficult parts, because you go from a system where a lot of your basic needs are taken care of into an environment where you got to find all that stuff yourself now. So we've got a question from Arthur Foster. I'll come back to yours, Peter, in a second. Arthur is asking, are there grant programs for veteran business owners looking to open there? Do you help with that? We don't. Our grant is to provide training to entrepreneurs. So we have a lot of entrepreneurship training partners throughout the state. Some are at universities, some are at nonprofits, and we even partner with a handful of co-working spaces throughout the state to provide those kinds of mentorships and networking resources for entrepreneurs. You can reach out to Jeremy as well on that. And what winds up happening too, it seems, at some of the areas, or rather some of the partners that conduct our entrepreneur training do have additional grant funds, usually in the, a pitch award or something like that. So there's opportunities for additional funding through those sources. Our grant fund for entrepreneurship goes directly to the training providers. So that's a great question. Thank you, Arthur. Peter's asking, is SkillBridge available for members of the National Guard and Reserve? So Jeremy or Derrick, what's your knowledge on that?
So currently, the DOD's funded SkillBridge program is only available to active duty members. But if you reach out to us and again, register at veteransflorida.org, we have other opportunities for veterans and spouses in many cases.
Yeah, and I would say definitely check with this is a state program now, what resources are available through Veterans through the state to do that. Because even National Guard and Reserve personnel retire and walk away from the service. And so they're considered veterans like everybody else, and Armored Opportunity is one of those organizations that services National Guard and Reserve members. And they're an active participant in training here in Florida. So.
Fantastic. All right. We are cleared of the official Q&A in the Zoom functionality. And I think we've got most, if not all, of the chat questions. So Jeremy, do you have any final thoughts or questions for Derrick before we hang up for the day?
No, thank you for being here.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, I enjoy it. I enjoy assisting because I remember this is a far cry above what I went through 2 years ago, just to understand what is necessary to transition. I found out what I didn't know, maximize what I did know, and now I'm trying to share as much as I've learned in the last several years with anybody that needs it. So if anybody needs assistance, I would definitely say come to your organization. If they want to reach out to Veterati or LinkedIn to me, that'd be fine. I'm okay with that. And try to coach them in the right direction of how to look at the bigger picture. It is a daunting ocean of change we're going through right now. Both employers and veterans are looked at differently because of the situation we found ourselves in the past year. And so 4 years ago, I would have said, hey, you're fine. Go ahead and do what you want to do. Now, you got to have a plan. You got to have a very capable and functional plan. So that's it.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us in today's discussion. Apologize for the slides, but you got to set the context somehow, and we hopefully didn't kill you by death by PowerPoint. And I want to thank Florida Chamber for joining us in this very long-term and grand endeavor for the state of Florida. The country's third largest general population and veteran population. And we're getting more and more veterans here each day and transitioning service members who want to move here. Jeremy, thank you for your technical assistance. And Derrick, thank you for your personal story. And of course, technical answers, both from the personal side and the side of an employer. So with that, we appreciate everyone's participation. Great questions, everyone. We will continue these types of discussions in the future. And we'll be posting this video on our YouTube channel if you want to come back and replay parts of it in the future. So thank you, everyone. And with that, we will call it an afternoon. Thanks a bunch.